Hello lovely people, and welcome to this week's journal for all seasons. As you can see, I'm back to fallen leaves. If you're new here, I have been doing a few projects over the last few weeks because it's autumn here in the northern hemisphere. So I did a couple of stitched things representing leaves and paths through leaves and so on. A swatching exercise, I mended a hole in a leaf, I stitched some leaves together. Lots of leaf related stuff basically, and so I thought I'd finished with the fallen leaves, but then I had another idea, so I'm going to do it on this page here. So the page I've got is just this piece of tea dyed watercolour paper. Not that that really matters, but I didn't want to, these are the leaves I've got there, Norway maple, not sycamore, and I'm not sure about how they look against the page, but also I wanted to do some stitching into them. And it'll be awkward, so I thought I'll stitch what I want to do onto here and then I can glue that onto my page. That makes sense? So I'll put the book away for now, and this piece of paper, this is just normal sketchbook paper. It's pretty sturdy. Do you see? It's not sort of copy. Now in terms of fallen leaves, these are still quite flexible. All I've done is pick them up off the ground, give them a little rinse and lay them to dry folded up in a towel. But you see they've still got some flexibility to them. Something like this one, which has gone quite brown, well, it's still quite flexible, but I'm not sure I'd risk using that because that's getting more brittle. Now there's many different ways you can preserve fallen leaves for your work. You could paint them with some kind of artist's medium. You could wax them. That would be what I would do if I was going to preserve them in some way. Or another way that I've never tried, but a few of you suggested it last time and I have looked into it, is soaking them in a solution of glycerine and water, you know, food grade glycerine like you add to icing. Coming up to Christmas, we traditionally here in the UK, I don't know about elsewhere, add a bit of glycerine to the white icing for the Christmas cake so it doesn't go rock hard and break everybody's teeth. So I guess it's widely available in supermarkets and so on. I don't actually have any. I don't use it because I don't put icing on my Christmas cake. I do it differently. Yeah, I didn't want to buy any specially. But you can, and I'm sure if you look on YouTube you'll find loads of videos if you just put preserving leaves with glycerine. I think you have to soak it for several days, the leaf, and then let it dry for some days more, so it is quite a process. But like I say, I'm not an expert. So you could absolutely do that if you wanted to. I'm going to just go with the leaves as they are and just accept that they might break, and in my journal there will be ephemeral because that is the nature of them. So that is a kind of artistic choice that I'm making. So all I'm going to do, I thought I'd do a patchwork. So I want to do a 9 patch on this little square. This has been folded, this bit of paper. It's got quite a sharp crease in it. But I think if I use this side with the inside of the fold, it will hardly notice, hopefully. And I'm just going to cut some squares so I can fit 3. I'm just sort of eyeballing how big they need to be. Got plenty of leaves, so let's start and let's get a straight line. Of course, if you want to use a measuring device, what do you call it? A ruler. That's what they call those things. Although someone I used to know who was a draftsman would have said it's not a ruler, it's a rule, because a ruler is a monarch. But anyway, that's just pedantry. And I'm going to sort of try and cut away from this midrib in this particular leaf because that's quite hard. That's slightly less hard. So I'm going to just cut a square, just a vague square. I can always trim it later. I don't mind if they're wonky, so I'm not using a ruler or a rule to cut mine. I'm just going to cut them by eye. And I only need 9, so like I said, I've got a lot of spare. So that's still slightly rectangular, so I'm going to just trim that edge a bit. I'm going to make a right old mess. So, and all the other little bits I'll put over there. And I shall take them back to the woods later in my pocket and scatter them back on the ground. So I'm going to just go ahead and cut 9. there's a million and one projects you can make with autumn leaves. When I was looking up about glycerine, preserving them in glycerin, I came across a lady, I don't remember her channel now because I watched a few videos, but she's a milliner, a hat maker, and she was experimenting with ways of preserving leaves and berries and things to use in her hats, which I thought was quite interesting. And there's another lady who's a journal maker, I think she's called Eva. Actually, I will link to her video because that was really cool. Her channel is called Bohemian Journaling or Bohemian Crafting or something like that. And she soaked the leaves in glycerin. It was she who said 5 days, a 5-day soak. She soaked them in glycerin for 5 days and then she let them dry, I think, for another day. So the whole process took the best part of a week. But then they were like fine leather. And she made them into a journal cover. She patchworked them into a journal cover and stitched them on her sewing machine, and it'll just look fabulous. I think she painted them with matte medium as well. Although no, I think it was her own bookbinding glue that she makes herself, but you could use matte medium. So I'll put a link to her video. I thought it was absolutely wonderful, and it's filed away in my brain as a possible thing I might want to do at one point. But I was very tempted to set off and start doing it straight away. Do you know that? Do you know that thing when you see a thing and you just want to do it? And it doesn't matter how many other projects you've got on the go. I expect a lot of you are nodding. It just gets in your head, this thing that you've seen. Sometimes I've even been known to get up in the middle of the night and go and do a thing. Has anybody else done that? Because it's going around in your brain and it won't quit. And you just have to go and make it. I'll get another leaf. I don't know if I want them to be slightly different colours or if I like them all being similar colours. So yeah, you'll have to tell me if you're like that. I'm sure many of you are. Let's have this one that's slightly more mottled. Oh, that was the fridge switching itself off. Now it'll just gurgle for a bit. What's happened there? These are the blunties, by the way, those of you who know I have 2 pairs of scissors. I have the Snippy Snippies Thank You Sue that I only use on cloth, on you know, natural fibre cloth. And these are my old ones, which are known as the blunties. In case anybody's interested. I don't suppose you are, really. Either you know or you're not interested, I expect, are the 2 cases. If you're new here and you are interested in the fact I've got 2 pairs of scissors. Sorry, I'm just being silly. Right. Oh, I just wanted to say, I don't know if Maria's watching, if she watches this video. And I will show you all at some future point. But Maria very kindly on my birthday earlier this year sent me, it's a garden centre gift token. So here in the UK we have garden centres where they sell plants, outside plants and inside plants sometimes. And for my birthday she sent me a garden centre gift token. And I was intending to use it on something for my garden. But I haven't actually got around to doing this flower bed out the front of my home. I'm making a new bed. I haven't actually got around to digging it over yet, and I think now I won't be planting till the spring. And that one's still wet on the back, but it doesn't really matter. So anyway, I thought I'd have a couple of house plants. I fancied one in my kitchen window and one in my bathroom. So I thought, oh, I'll go to, there's a garden centre that my neighbour had told me about. I'll go there and get a couple of house plants. There is a point behind all this, apart from to say thank you so much, Maria. So I use Maria's garden centre gift token. There's my 9 patches. But my park home, being a park home, it doesn't have window sills. Well, it does, but they're like 1.5 inches wide, because it's just the frame of the window basically. except for the very front window, but I wouldn't put plants there because there's a radiator and otherwise it gets too hot. And just in terms of the project, I'm just going to do a bit of trimming where I see things are slightly bigger or whatever. So anyway, but I would like to put a plant in my kitchen window. So I thought, I know, make a hanging thing, you know, like a... Now I think I might start another applique type controversy, applique gate, where I say applique and all of us here in the UK say applique, but I think those of you in the other Anglophone countries and the Francophone countries, because it's a French word, it's still slightly bigger, but I'm going to go with it, say applique. Actually in French it's appliqué. Appliqué? I can't even think now. Anyway, and say about my plant hanger, the logical thing, I'm just going to glue these on with glue stick while I carry on wittering. So I'm going to just put a bit of glue on. I'm going to try and see if I can put the glue on the leaf part. So I'm going to try it first on a scrap. Talk amongst yourselves while I find a bit of paper that doesn't have anything on that's sensitive. That's got the requirements list for the rice bag because I've been teaching a workshop in the new year. Yeah, I just want to see if I can successfully glue the... Oh, I think I can. Yeah, we're going to go with that. So I'm going to put the glue on the leaf because I don't want to get glue showing on my... now I'm wondering if I have it with a little rib up the underside. Oh yes, quite like that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put them earth side up. I'm just very gently putting glue stick on them. I will get back to the reason I was talking about the pronunciation of applique. I'm going to move it a bit closer to me just so I can line it up. Excuse my fluffy head. And so to make a plant hanger, I'm going to do, stay down, it's only really to hold it, but like I said I want to stitch them, so not the end of the world if they don't stick completely. I'm just going to turn them all over in case I forget and put them down the wrong way while I'm wittering on. Oh, I do like it with the veins showing. What was I saying? Yes. And so to make hanging plant holders, if you're around in the 70s, which I'm sure many of you were, maybe even the 60s, I'm not sure, you will have made them, or seen them made at least, out of, now I'm going to say it how I think it's pronounced, macrame. Now I'm guessing those of you who say applique say, whoops, macrame. I don't know. Do you? Do you say macrame or macrame? Or is it only me who says macrame? Also tell me if you're British English, do you say macrame or do you say macrame? Because it's not in that song, is it, about tomatoes and potatoes and potatoes and all that? They don't talk about craft related things. Maybe we need a craft related version of that song. I'm just angling my veins in my leaves how I want them. That's really given it a whole new dimension, those veins. I hope you can see that. So anyway, so I thought I'll make a macrame plant hanger for my window, and then I can put a plant there. So I was Googling, because I've never done, well I probably have, but in the dim and distant past, and I couldn't remember how. So I was Googling how do you do, you know, how to make a macrame plant hanger. I feel self-conscious saying it like that now, but I'm pretty sure that is how we say it here. And what came up was a crocheted plant hanger, you know, in amongst all the macrame. So I thought, oh, I can crochet. So I made one for my bathroom in the granny square style. So using the granny cluster. I shall insert a photograph of it here. Okay, so that's it, hanging there with my spider plant in it in my bathroom. I'm very lucky in a park home, or in this particular park home, I don't know what they're all like, the walls are made of plywood. So they're wood, but they're, you know, fairly sturdy grade plywood. So they're very easy to, and the ceilings as well. So they're very easy to screw into, and then whatever you screw into them is sturdy and stays up. You know, I've got shelves up, quite hefty wooden shelves. I think that does need more glue under it because the others are sticking fine. Oops. So I was fairly confident that if I screwed a hook into the ceiling that it would hold the weight of this plant, and it has. It's been up for about 4 days now and it's still hanging there. So and I've lined it with a plastic bag that some bread came in. So I've just put in the plant's just in its pot, and I've just put it inside a plastic bag. Now I generally water my houseplants from the bottom. So when I water them, which isn't very often in winter, hardly at all, because I don't need it, particularly the ones in the bathroom obviously because they get all the moisture from the air, I take them out of whatever pot they're in and I stand them in water for an hour or so. I don't water from the top. Various reasons for that, if you need the horticultural side of it. One is that if the top surface of the compost is moist, you can get these little flies. You may have seen them around your house plants. They're called fungus gnats. They're these tiny little black flies. And the flies themselves don't do any harm, apart from being a little bit annoying and unsightly. But they're babies. They lay their babies in the soil, in the top inch or so of the soil of your house plants. Their babies can eat the roots of the plants. And a big, you know, well-established plant won't suffer, but if you've got a younger or more delicate plant, it might. So you don't want them. You don't want them really as pets in your house. So if you water from the bottom, the surface of the compost stays dry and the moisture's all down the bottom where the plant roots need it. I mean, it will if you leave a plant in water for a long time. You'll eventually, by it's called capillary action, the water will, you know, come up to the surface. But I don't leave it in for a long time. I leave it in for half an hour to an hour, maybe, depending on the size of the plant. And then I get it out of the water and let it drain away, and then I put it back in its whatever, you know. So my spider plant's fine in its bread bag because I just need to get up, unhook it, take it down and water it and then put it back in there. So that was my my recycling way of making I think they call it a cache pot, which sounds very posh to say cache pot, which is French for hide pot. Cache is to hide, and pot is obviously pot. Or you might call it a cache pot, but because it's spelt P-O-T. But anyway, it's a video about pronunciation. So there we go. So yeah, so I'm going to make another one for my kitchen window. And I was wondering about whether you would be interested in seeing how I did it, because it's crochet and I don't really do crochet on here. I did a bit of knitting way back. I did the sock knitting, but you know. So can you let me know if enough of you say, oh yes, we'd love to know how you made your cache pot out of granny crochet cache pot, because you don't know how to do macrame, then I'll do a video, okay? Otherwise I'll just do it on my own and show you a picture of it when it's done. So now I've got I wanted to use this lovely dark red out of my Ort's nest. There's just 2 strands of embroidery floss, and I found all this, so there must be enough. That's it when you use oddments. And I think I'm just going to simply stitch around the edge of each square. I'm just thinking of the best way to do it so I don't have to keep breaking the thread. I think I'm going to stitch, I'm just going to start here and go round. Now if you want to make sure you come up in the exact place, I've talked about this before when stitching paper or things like that, you can make a little hole from the front where you want to go, and then you can see on the back hopefully. On an eco printer it's more challenging. And then you can see where you need to be. Sometimes you can get away with the normal in and out movement, but I'm not going to risk it because of the leaves and everything. So this is probably going to take me some little time. I'll just go all around this one, and then I'll probably have to do some editing, because I'm going to do it like this. I'm making little guide holes because I would like it to look kind of, you know, neat and straight-ish. It would maybe have been a better idea as well to wait for the glue to dry, but yeah, and apparently I need to concentrate, so I'll stop talking anyway. So yeah, so that's I need to do that. I need to do the macrame. I know you said macrame. I need to do the macrame cashpo PDQ. Pretty darn quick, that stands for, although I don't think it stands for darn. Because my plant that I bought is called, it's got pepper in it. Pepper, it's not literally got pepper in it, but in its name. Peperomia or something. It's got the little trailing, very fine trailing stems with the little almost heart-shaped leaves with a reddish tinge. And it's sat on a shelf at the moment, and you know, it needs to trail, it needs to hang so it can trail, because I've got it all wound round itself. Really hard to see the holes in this, and keep it far enough away from me so you can see what I'm doing. A few of you said on Friday's Parkrome Life about my hair. I haven't cut it or anything. I've still got all my hair. I just tied it back. It was just all tied back because I was camping. I don't know how that just came into my head to say here. And this week, tomorrow, I'll be meeting Maz. I don't know if you're watching, Maz. Possibly not, because I know you're visiting with your family at the moment. You've probably got better things to do, more interesting things. But yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting her. And then on Wednesday we're going to go to the Midsummer Quilting Exhibition, which I've got work in, which celebrates their 21 years of operations, and 21 former tutors have got work on display there. So Maz and I are going to go on the Wednesday and have a look at that. That's going to be fun. I'm just judging, as always, how many stitches and spaces I can fit to get myself into the corner. But this does seem, even though my leaves are not preserved in any way, touch wood, to be going okay. Now whether over time in my journal they'll crumble as they dry, I don't know, and I don't mind. If you do mind, then I refer you back to one of the various methods of preserving them. I don't get a knot. If you get a knot, it's best not to pull at it, but to tease at it gently. I'll just get one more stitch in there. So the stitching paper malarkey. Oh, I was determined to knot that thread. You do have to take it steady, as you will see, as you can see. So it's mindful in a different way to stitching cloth, I think, but I do like it. I like the sound of the thread running through the paper. There we go. So now I'm just going to jump across to the next one. Somewhere there. Again, make a little guide hole. It's a big leap on the back, but ending off and starting again would have used nearly as much thread. So I'm going to go ahead and do that around all of these squares, and you don't want to watch me do that because it's going to take me ages, and all you're going to see is the back of my head probably. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll be back to stick it in my journal with you. And I've written another haiku that is definitely a haiku this time. So I'll be back in a little while. Okay, so that's all the stitching done. I keep forgetting, apologise. I used to do, a while ago I did a little close-up scan in all my videos at the end, and then I stopped doing it. I don't know why, I just fell out of the habit, and a couple of you have asked about it. So I'll do a little close-up scan towards the end of the video, just to remind myself. I've got a piece of black paper, craft paper, just to lift it off the page a little bit, because without that it's very, you know, tony. I just thought it might be nice to give it a little frame. But I also do want to ink the edges. Of course I do, of this. So I'd go ahead and do that. Oh yeah, I was telling you about watering plants on the bottom and I didn't finish what I was saying. The other reasons why I do that is, one is if you've got a plant with a crown, you know, where the leaves come out of a sort of central point or central points rather than a stem. If you water from the top and water gathers in there, it can cause it to rot. And there's another reason as well, which I did think of, and now I've forgotten. What was the other reason? No, it's gone. It's gone out of my head. Oh yeah, I know what it is. It's the same with pots outside. If you water and the water doesn't drain right through, if you water every time a little bit, and it'll sort of stop at a certain level in the soil, and that causes like a crust or something, and then the water never gets right down to the roots at the bottom where you need it. That's why when I water my outside pots as well, I always water until the water runs out of the bottom. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, it's because I was talking about the non-macrame plant hanger. That's why I'm talking about watering plants. Anyway, there we go. So that's got me around there inking that. So I'm going to stick that onto there. Is that my gold pen or my silver pen? No, I wanted my gold pen. Where's my gold pen? Nobody leave. It's not in there. There it is. Found it. I thought I might do some squiggling on the black background. So I think I'm just going to use glue stick again. Why not? I don't care if it's not perfectly stuck all around, as long as it sticks down somewhat. In fact, I think it's sometimes quite nice if it's just floating a little bit. You know, if the edges aren't completely adhered. That was quite a lot of glue stick. And also it means you can get hold of the edges. Excuse my head, I need to centralise it somewhat. And for that I need to be directly above it. There we go. If it comes off at one point, I can always go back and whatchamacallit. I think I'll do my squiggling first. Stick it with something else. So I think I'm just going to do some, I don't know, just going to see where the pen takes me. Squiggly lines. I'll do a pig, just lifts it a little bit. It's just a bit of a doodle scribble. Put that back where it belongs, up there. So now I'm going to stick that onto the page, or I'll stick that onto the page and I'll write my haiku, and then I'll do you a close-up little video which I'll insert here of all, you know, of it all close up. And then I'll come back and talk to you at the end, okay? So there we go, that's my entry for this week. More messing about with fallen leaves, and I'm really pleased that I turned them over and looked at the other side. I don't know, I mean, hopefully you could see that on a little close-up video that I just showed you. The ridges of the veins and the lines moving in all the different directions. It's very subtle, but yeah, I'm very happy with it. And the little bits of red stitching. And my haiku, which reads, "A patchwork of leaves blankets the ground in autumn, earth slumbers beneath." So there we go. I thought about the leaves being like a blanket when I was walking, and that led me to think of patchwork because, you know, most of my blankets are patchwork, if they're not crocheted. None of them are macrame, sorry. Which, you know, led me to this whole theme. So I hope you have fun with that if you have a go, and thank you so much for watching. Lots and lots of love and kisses, and I hope you join me next time for more cloth and journaling tales. No macrame. I'll stop now. Bye bye.